All right, for this portion, we're going to look at the difference between line, line segment, and ray. To start off here, if we look at the difference between a line and a line segment, remember a line has 2 points and the line extends through those 2 points, continues in forever in each direction. A line segment is just a portion that contains 2 endpoints, meaning that it stops and starts at those ends. So if you look at this portion here, I just drew a line segment and I labeled it GH. There's a start and an end. Now if I want to name that, I'm going to name it as GH, but I need to include this straight line right over the top. That represents that there's an endpoint at G and an endpoint at H. I could have also named this H and G and flipped the two around. If we look at array consists of one endpoint. I usually think of the ray as starting at that endpoint and then continuing through the other portion forever in that direction. So in this case, we have endpoint A going through point B and continuing on. If you flip the ray around, starting at B and going through A, these two are completely different rays. They are named differently. You always start with the endpoint that you start at as the first letter. So here, we have this portion here. Ray AB is this symbol right here. And then ray BA is the other one, starting at B, going through A, forever in that direction. So there's the difference between naming those two. Now, what happens if I take two rays and they share a common endpoint? Well, depending on how they line up, if they line up so the two lines are collinear, I should have underlined this, then the two segments create a straight line. In this case, if you look at here, notice how I have two rays pushed together. One ray starting at C going forever in the direction of point A. That would be ray CA, they identified here. And the other ray starting at C going through B. That would be the ray CB. If we push those two rays together, they form a straight line. That is the idea called an opposite ray. Okay, so let's take our new vocabulary and see how this would look in a problem in our textbook. For part A, in example 1, it says give two other names for line PQ. So if we look at PQ, let's see if I can find my highlighter. There we go. PQ, so starting at P and Q, we've got a line. It's just like this. Our job is to name two different names for that. Well, to start here, the first thing we can do is name it by the 2 points that it goes through. One option is starting at Q, going through P, and continuing on. Actually, it would go through Q as well. That is line QP. The other option, notice this lowercase letter. For part A, we could also name that line N. All right, part B. Part B says name 3 points that are collinear. Remember, collinear, all on the same line. So if I take a look at this, here I have point S, P, and T. Those 3 points are collinear, S, P, T. The next part of part B says name 4 points that are coplanar. Well, coplanar means that all 4 of them are not on the same straight line and housed within this plane. So we have the red plane, usually represented by plane R. I need to pick the 4 points within that. In that case, I have point V, point S, point P, and point T. Those are the 4 points contained within that plane. And those 4 points are coplanar.